Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Journey to Becoming a Head Coach. As always, I'm your host, Jeff Freeman. Another WCG production here, and today we're going over philosophy. What is philosophy? What is it? What am I doing? How am I defining it? And what are some little tidbits and pieces that I want to share with you on how I built it, and kind of in the back of my mind, what I feel it is. So, first things first. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for everything. I'm diving more into deep detail on some of this stuff because I have the time now a little bit more. As most of you know, our season is done. We have moved on into off-season mode just because of what California has done and chosen to do with their tier systems and everything else, and with the purple tier, red tier, orange tier garbage that they came up with. So we had to move into off-season mode because a lot of our players, and I can't fault them for this, they decided to move on and go play sports that are in the purple and red tier. Who knows if we'll get to orange? We'll see what happens. I haven't had a chance to check today's numbers, so we'll see what's going on there. In any case, we're over philosophy. What is it? How do you define it? What have you done? So, philosophy is going to inherently just kind of determine what you do. It's going to, kind of influence everything between your mission, your vision, culture, what I call the new C word. Not a fan of that word. I'm over it. It's a buzzword. For those of you that have listened to my presentations in the past, I kind of have a negative outlook towards culture now because I've just heard it said over and over and over and over and over again. It's like, I love you and sorry. It just gets said so much that to me it's lost its meaning. I'm moving more towards a mentality of achievement idea because it's like our goal is to achieve something. So what's our mentality to create success? Mentality of achievement. So that's what we're moving to. I'm getting rid of that C word. I'm going to eliminate it from our vernacular and our vocabulary. Just getting rid of it until it actually gains its meaning back. I'm done with it. So as far as that's concerned, again, it's going to kind of influence everything you do, the staff you hire, the scheme you pick, everything and anything. It's going to influence whether you want it to or not. That's just kind of what it is. And being mindful of that and reflecting and refining your philosophy is going to help. So, what is philosophy? A tool to help guide coaches in their process. Having a philosophy gives you guidance on objectives that should be pursued and achieved. So, basically, it gives you the ability to create your mission, create your vision, create your mentality of achievement. What is your environment going to look like? What is your learning environment? What's your practice plan? What's your staff? What's your message to the parents and the players? It's going to influence all that. It gives you guidance on how you're going to provide that to your staff, to admin, and to your parents. And again, philosophies can come in many different names and many different ranges. I've seen philosophies that are basically like 3 paragraphs long. Mine essentially has dwindled down to a 3-word one. And you can say I stole it. You can say I copied it. I really don't care. We'll get to it when I get to it. But my philosophy, again, I didn't want to make it so wordy. Some of them just are so long and so just wordy, in my opinion, where it's like, okay, that's great. Cool. You got this 3-paragraph long thing on philosophy. Now you're going to implement it all. Me, I'd rather pick something that's short, sweet, to the point, and that you can use in all avenues in their life, not only in the life on the football field, on the basketball court, on the soccer pitch, on the softball field, wherever you want to be, where you're going to use it. So it can be something that can be not only taken in sports, but something that can be taken beyond sports. Some of these philosophies, I just kind of read them and I look at them, I was like, this is just sports driven. This isn't even, you can't apply it anywhere else. So I like to pick something, and I pick something, and I believe in it, and wholeheartedly, and it's actually something in my back of my head as I reflected and read upon it and listened to the individuals that have implemented it before me and are implementing it now. It's just one of those things where it's like I've been doing it and I've been preaching it without actually saying it. Kind of one of those weird things. Again, it's going to influence you whether you think it is or not, but it's just kind of it's always been there. I just never say it for whatever reason, and now it's like, no, I need to put it out there on the forefront because that's actually what I believe. That's what I think we should do, and that's how we're going to move forward. So again, it's going to influence you whether you believe it or not, and maybe you just got to find the right words. It's going to take time, and it's going to influence your coaching style. These are the 6 that I've seen, and again, these are in the coaching world, the business world, whatever you want to say it. These are the ones that I kind of find that I see the most. The last 3 I have never done, to be quite honest, and I can't speak on them enough if I have done them or if I've done them well. The first 2, though, I can speak to. Democratically, yes, I let when I was a defensive coordinator, I let my middle linebacker tell me. We had a long discussion amongst them and the defense. We're like, okay, how do you want me to call the plays into you? Here's the plays. How do you want me to call them in? Well, coach, we use this wrist coach. Can you do, arm, head, belt, foot, all this stuff to symbol the row or the column? And then can you do basically pretend your chest is a giant dice or die, basically. And then, use a one fist for 1, 2 for 2, forearm for 3, double forearms for 6, 5, so on and so forth. And then we came up with other pieces for 7, 8, 9, and 10. They came up with it. I used it. I had to learn it for them. So that was me. I let them pick how I called in the plays. And then, of course, the authoritarian piece. I know we're going to show up on these days. We're going to run these drills. So I've kind of done both of those top two where I've given, as far as being a head coach this past year, unfortunately we get to unveil them, but I let students help me design the football uniforms for the varsity. I let them help design the decals. I let them design their entrance, how they were going to enter the stadium, the music they were going to pick. They wanted to do these little smoke bomb things. So I let them pick a lot of stuff, and then we were talking, before the season kind of cut short, we were talking play systems. What were we going to do? The picture boards. What were we going to do? Again, just the simple arm stuff. We were going to move towards picture boards. The players really found that interesting. They liked it. They thought it was a way to go where we could go fast, and we go faster. We could actually get things rolling a little bit better. So giving them that opportunity, and I've always let them, it was part of the system where I was in, where I always was allowed to vote for captains. So I always let them vote for 2, and then the coaching staff picked 1. That's how I believe it was ran when I was in high school and college. Again, who knows? Because we all know that sometimes, just like any voting system, sometimes it's based on popularity, not who should actually be, the leader. So, but for the most part, they got it right. I believe that they got it right the first year I did it. I didn't care for one of the selections they did, but it is what it is. That was the team. That's how they viewed it. That's how they wanted it. So I said, hey, this is the guy you're picking to be your leader. So just understand that he now represents you just as much as he represents us and the team and the program. Just keep that in mind, especially some of the things that he did as a junior and stuff like that. So, which is one of those things, and that's kind of what I try to preach to them. Is like, when we get ready to vote for captains, just think that this person represents you, represent me, they represent the program. So think about what they do. Do they show up every day? Do they do what they're supposed to do on the field, off the field, all that stuff? So again, I can speak to the first 2 very well. I can't speak to the autocratic, the holistic, or the visionary kind of coaching styles as far as sharing the vision, letting them be involved in that. I can't speak to that. I can't speak to any of those other 3, but those are the ones I've seen and I've heard being used. I can't speak. I haven't done enough research on to really dive deep. I think I'm going to dive deep into them more and kind of give you guys more of an idea of what those 3 could look like in a football program. But to be brutally honest, I really feel like all 6 are used to some degree. It's just whether or not which ones you use the most of. Again, like I said, I feel like I use the top 2 the most. I don't really think I use any of the holistic approach, to be quite honest with you, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm going to do some more research onto those 3, but these I'm just sharing with you what I've seen and what I've heard, and what I do the most of, which is the democratic and authoritarian, to my knowledge. So as far as some examples, these are just some ones I was able to pull. You got John Wooden in basketball. He's a firm believer that your knowledge pass it on to those who do not. He also believes that playing sports as a child not only builds character and confidence, but also gives a sense of accomplishment. So that's kind of his philosophy. And then down at the bottom, I found one. Again, I'm not going to read it to you because I feel like you can read it. But again, they're going to learn on the gridiron, so the rest of their life, success, failure, teamwork, sacrifice, and discipline are all experiences that will be encountered. So just lifelong experiences, lessons. That's, they believe in teaching that and instilling that in their student athletes. Those are just some very simple examples that I've seen. These are just 2 that I pulled that I found within 20 minutes that I thought were, and I found a football one, I found a basketball one, and then just kind of pulled them and then went from there. And there's the quotes from where they went to and who they came from. So the bottom one's from an actual football program. He has a Google site, found it, just, copy, paste, put in quotes, all that good stuff. Put his name down at the bottom so that way everyone knows that's who it came from. I didn't put the school because I don't want to put the school on blast or anything like that. Plus, depending how old the Google site is, don't even know if he's still the coach there. So this is just something that he had created, that he put in as an example that he built on his Google site. So again, he's talking about success, failure, teamwork, sacrifice, discipline. Those are experiences that, are going to affect them on the field and off the field. So that's his philosophy. He wants to teach life lessons, and he wants to prepare them for those experiences so they have tools to properly grow and learn. So again, you see something that's pretty like one sentence. You see something that's kind of 2 paragraphs, kind of gives a little introduction about him as well, kind of where he comes up with it, about his thoughts about it, and stuff about what he's passionate about. At one point when I first started writing my philosophy and I started writing things down and creating my binder, which I do want to go over in grave detail as far as what a binder looks like, what it should look like, and kind of show you what I did and when I created my own. When I started writing it, I mean, I had something similar to this. I had like a 2-3 paragraph long philosophy, and it was great on paper. It looked great on paper, and it probably looks great to admin. But as I kept looking, I was like, what? Like, am I really going to say this? Am I really going to say this in a meeting? Am I really going to say this every day? I can't regurgitate this every day verbatim. It's, yeah, I believe in all of it, but I'm not going to repeat it every single day, to the kids, to the students, to anything. I'm not going to repeat it every day. I can't. It's so long. Like I said, at one point I had a 3-paragraph one. It was just too long. And I mean by 3-paragraph, I'm talking about like kind of what he's got down here, like, but I had one extra paragraph. And I was basically talking about the same things: teamwork, sacrifice, discipline, work ethic, all that. I had all that in there, and it was great. It was great on paper, and that's one of those things. Probably when you're having something in public and you want people to read it, you probably do need something like that, so people can read and it's not so generic. People can understand that. Okay, so this is what he's doing. This is what the program promotes. This is how the program is. So on paper, yeah, probably have something like that. But to be quite honest, when I go on the field, when I'm going out to coach, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what I've simplified it to. It's 3 words. And I'll tell you right now, the 2 coaches that do it the best, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. Heck, do your job is on the elevator doors in Alabama's locker room. I mean, they see it every day. And it's something that after my first year, I was just like, you know what? It's I started saying it, and it's just something. It's like I firmly believe in it. It's something you can say every day. You can remind them of it, and it's so generic. It can go follow them throughout their entire life. Do your job. Wake up in the morning. Make your bed. Make your breakfast. Do your workouts. Do your homework. Do your job. Period. End of story. And do it to the best of your ability. So you can add that at the back end of it. But as far as do your job, do what you are supposed to do and do it to the best of your ability every single day. Whether it's on the football field, whether it's on the soccer pitch, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the baseball diamond, no matter where it is, do your job. Simplest coaching philosophy to say, hardest one to do, because everyone wants to, do your job. It's very simple. It's very easy. Yeah, it's a simple one to do. It's a simple thing to say. Everyone says it, walk the walk, but are you gonna, you're gonna talk the talk, or are you gonna walk the walk kind of thing? So, and it's a hard thing to realize. That's like, yeah, it's an easy thing to say, but it's a hard thing to do. It's kind of the same thing with fitness, losing weight. Everybody knows there's so much information out there. Everyone knows you don't need a personal trainer to tell you how to work out. You don't need a personal trainer to tell you what's good and what's bad for you to eat. You can figure that out, in a couple days just by eating certain foods and figuring out which ones make you feel good and which ones make you feel like crap. So, it's pretty easy for you to figure out. What do you need a personal trainer for? Motivation. You're paying them to make sure that you actually do what you're supposed to do. You're going to, otherwise, I've heard the jokes, it's a fat tax. You pay a gym membership, but you never go. Quote unquote, that's a fat tax. Oh, yeah, that's great. You're paying a gym membership, but you never go. So you're paying somebody money to do something you're never going to do. So again, a personal trainer is just there for motivation to keep you on track. That's all it's there for. So again, do your job. Very simple, very easy, hard to implement. And I'm pushing on it. And it's one of those things, you got to define your job. You got to define your staff's job. You got to define your admin. Like, define it for yourself. Like, what is admin's job in my program? What do I need them to do for me and for our program in order for us to be successful? And then what do you need to do to define your staff job? When you talk to them, and I did a poor job of this my first year, which is why I think I lost some staff members here and there, just because it was like, I tried to give them so much leeway. I said, hey, yeah, be creative, do this, do that. I think they didn't really understand what I wanted them to do because I didn't define what that was. I just said, yeah, no, you're the offensive coordinator. I want you to define our offense. Yeah, I want us to run, split back, fly. I like it. I enjoy it. Let's do it. But I didn't define how I wanted it done. So while I felt like I was telling them how to, do it, they maybe were like, no, there's no direction whatsoever. So, and I could see that point. So I'm working on that on myself as far as like, yeah, I believe in this philosophy, but I got to make sure my staff knows that do your job. That is what we are here to do. I'm going to define what it is I want you to do. I want you to do it to the best of your ability. I want you to coach your butts off. I want you to make sure you got, 8, 9, 10 drills in your back pocket. Because I'm a big believer, reps, reps, reps. How many reps can you get done in a certain amount of time? It's just one of those things I enjoy. The more reps, the better. The more reps you can provide your players, the better. So again, do your job. A simple 3-word philosophy. Everybody says it. Not everybody does it. And that goes throughout a lot of aspects in life. Everyone can say, do your job. But that's fine. Are you actually doing your job? Or are you trying to do somebody else's job? That happens on the football field all the time. You got 11 players that need to do their specific assignment. They need to align, assign, and execute. And that's when you get that freelancing part where that linebacker's like, ooh, I saw that safety. He's too deep. I'm going to deepen up a little bit more, kind of help cover what he's doing. No. Do your job. Get in your area. Get to your zone. Make your run read. Don't worry about what the safety's doing. Do your job. Because then otherwise you can't correct it because now you got 2 people doing something wrong. Doing something they're not supposed to be doing, not doing their job. So you see, it's a very easy thing to say, but it's hard to preach and hard to get students and even staff members to do, and even yourself to do. So again, do your job. That's what I'm pushing. That's what I'm rolling with. Because again, the funny thing about it is, it was something that I believed in before I even heard that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. Once I heard them say it and I watched their documentary and I saw them go through it, I was like, that's what I believe in. That's like, why have I never said this? Like, why have I never pushed this? It's just one of those weird things because you're taught that you need to come up with this big, long philosophy, mission statement, and vision, and blah, 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 blah. You can have something simple as 3 words. Again, have the shiny, 2-paragraph vision and philosophy on your website. But as far as things you communicate to the players on a daily basis, come up with something simple, easy, something for them to remember. And that's what I'm pushing. So again, I think it's an easy one to steal. I think it's an easy one to use. So you guys be the judge on that. Maybe I'm being too simple, but build and make it your own. So, set your values. What are your values? What's your philosophy? What's your mission? What's your vision? Define your objectives. What do you want to get done? How do you foresee it getting done? Develop your mission statement. This is the one we use at the school that I'm currently at. To exemplify the highest ideas of scholarship, sportsmanship, and citizenship. In this program, they'll expect to be courteous, respectful, and responsible at all times. I wanted to make something that covered on the field and off the field because we had a severe issue with students acting up in the classroom. So I want to be like, hey, you know what? Here's the deal. The mission of this program, you're going to represent this program not only on the field, but off the field in the classroom. And when I hear a teacher comment about, football players not doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm going to come talk to you during practice. Hey, why are you acting up in 3rd period English or 4th period math or things of that nature, So build and make it your own. Set your values, define your objectives, write them down. What do you want to get done at certain points and certain times? What do you want to get done in the off season? What do you want to get done? What do you want to teach these student athletes in the off season? What do you want to teach them in the preseason? What do you want to teach them in the summer? What do you want to teach them during the season? What are your objectives? And once you define those and you let them know that, hey, these are our objectives in the off season, these are our objectives in spring ball, summer ball, in season, then everyone kind of understands what their job is. Okay, well, this is what we're defining as our objectives. These are the plays we got to get done. These are the fundraisers we got to get done. So, and then establish your standards. What's acceptable? What are you going to accept? Are you going to accept students showing up late? I did my first year. I'll be brutally honest. I accept students showing up late for any reason. And the funny thing was, it's like, yeah, I wanted to come up with a consequence and stuff like that. And come to find out, I was just trying to do so much that it was hard to hold that standard because it was like, okay, well, if I want them to run or I want them to do down-ups or slammers or whatever you want to call them for being this amount of time late, or if they missed a day, they got to make up the conditioning. Trying to piece all that together on my own, I tried to do too much. I talked about it in my first season review. The first thing I probably said was, I just did too much. I tried to do all the equipment. I tried to do all the inventory. I tried to do all the fundraising. I tried to do everything. Because I didn't know how I wanted it done. I was a first-year guy. Now I'm kind of, settling. It's like, okay, this is what I want done. I can pass this off to somebody else as long as they know that this is what I want and this is how I want it done. So, I let my JV coach this year, they passed out all the JV equipment and most of the freshman equipment. So they passed all that out, and they collected it all. So, I mean, now I'm working on billing where I'm like, okay, well, this individual didn't turn this in. Here we go. We got to send them a bill. So that's where I'm focused now. And then obviously choose your leadership style. Like, are you going to be the authoritarian? Are you going to be the decision maker? Are you going to be the judge, jury, and executioner? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to do all of it, or are you going to give some decision making up to your staff or to your players? You're going to let them be involved in the process as far as what things on and off the field should look like. Are you going to have like a leadership council? I've seen this being done where you get a group of your seniors together and some juniors and even some sophomores, and they have a leadership council, and they meet with the head coach, once a week, and they talk about things going on with the team and going on with the program. Thinking about starting one of those. Now, granted, I thought about starting one of those this season, and then obviously, again, I hate to throw that excuse out there, but with Zoom calls being so shoddy in our area, the kids' lack of Wi-Fi and whatnot, I wanted to start one this year, but obviously with COVID and how poorly Zoom was acting up, as far as just Wi-Fi and everything else, it's just one of those things like, I'm going to have to put this off till we're back actually in person where I can meet with these students, once a week and get this done. So creating a leadership council where the kids get to tell you what's going on, what you need to address as a coach, what's going on with the staff, the program, all in all that stuff. So, build and make it your own. And then lastly, reflect and refine. What worked, what didn't work. Obviously, like I said, my long 2-paragraph crazy philosophy was not working. I needed to simplify it. I simplified it down to 3 words, and that's what I'm going to be using. What worked was, the philosophy worked. The kids understood that it was like, hey, you know what? Coach Freeman's a different cat. He's going to ask us to do things, and he's going to expect us to do it, and he's going to expect us to hold each other accountable, and he's going to hold us accountable, and he's going to get in our grill, and he's going to talk to us every day about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and he's going to get in our grill about things, and he expects us to do the same thing for our teammates. I mean, I tell my students this all the time. I go, hey, you know what? That's great. I can tell you guys till I'm blue in the face that this is what you need to do, but it's going to be more powerful when you're going up to your fellow teammates saying you are not acting the way we want you to act. That's not how we want our program represented. You need to be here, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's much more powerful when it comes from the team. That's just the way, that's the way I've seen it. The good teams hold themselves accountable. The coaches don't necessarily have to do it. Yeah, they step in every once in a while. But the great teams, they call each other out. The captains call each other out. The players call the captains out. And there's that mutual respect and understanding that's like, hey, if you're getting called out, it's, hey, you can get mad, but you better get mad at yourself because there's a reason you're getting called out. You're doing something that's not representative of the program's philosophy and the mentality of achievement, and you need to put yourself in check. So what worked? My message worked, but my overall philosophy as far as being able to repeat it and recite it and regurgitate it and get it into the kids' heads wasn't. Like, they didn't understand, how to put it into words. They knew what I wanted. They knew what I wanted to see, but I couldn't verbalize it in a short amount of time to where, like, they could regurgitate it. Like, if you went up to them now and be like, hey, what's Coach Freeman's philosophy? Work hard, success in life, and work ethic, discipline. Like, they're going to recite catchwords that I use. But that doesn't necessarily define my philosophy. Yeah, that's pieces of it, but that was the overall thing I was having an issue with. It's kind of the same thing I see, in schools, and when I'm like, oh, what are your school-wide learning objectives, standards, whatever you want to call them. A lot of the times, like, they're so long, students can't regurgitate them. Students don't understand them. So, I mean, it's one of those things you got to kind of change, what you want them to understand, and then give them the details as you move forward. So when you walk up to one of my players, next year as we implement this more and more, hey, what's Coach Freeman's philosophy? Do your job. Well, what does that mean? Be where you're supposed to be, act how you're supposed to act, work hard, be disciplined, and do what is expected of you. Like, easy stuff, but it's all defined under 3 words, and they're just going to understand what those 3 words mean. So that's what I'm moving towards. That's what I'm moving forward. That's going to be our new philosophy moving forward. So, again, and reflect and refine. I mean, I might say at the end of season 3, I might be like, do your job, did not work at all. It might be one of those things like, no, they had no clue what I meant, and my parents didn't like it, my admin didn't like it, so now I got to refine and reflect and change it again. So, and that's the thing. You got to admit what's working and what isn't working. So, thank you so much. I want to, again, say thank you all for all the support and love. I hope you all enjoy this video. Be great, push limits, hold the line. Have a great day.